We recorded, and we are now live on the huddle. So we are going to bring a new segment to the table here. We're positive people here at Homefield Michigan Real Estate Consultants, but we believe in preparing for the worst, right? In a real estate transaction, there will be some things that go wrong. And, it is our job as agents to curb those and to lessen the effects of the things that go wrong. But we have a top 10 list of things that can and often go wrong in a real estate transaction. So why don't we go ahead and list off our favorites? We have a much larger list than 10 for the record. But we are going to, for this episode anyway, list off our first of our favorite 10 things that will go wrong. Who wants to start?
Well, I was just looking at the list, and number one actually is a really good one to start off with, and that is a lender does not properly pre-qualify a borrower. So there's a big difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval letter. I definitely need to go through underwriting, have your assets, everything verified before you make an offer on the home, because that could play a big role rather than just going off the words of a borrower, lender trusting that and issuing a letter, because it could cause a lot of havoc for agents, title companies, the lender, the seller, many people. So there's a lot of people involved in a transaction, so that's crucial.
Absolutely.
So Cody, I'm going to ask you, I know this is going to be a bit of a stretch, but for just a moment, pretend that I'm an absolute idiot and explain to me what the difference is between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval.
Well, I kind of just did, but a pre-approval letter is where your assets, your income, everything's been verified by the lender and sent to underwriting to be verified have a pre-approval letter issued. Pre-qualification letter is where you have a conversation with the lender, most likely over the phone, and just tell them what that information is, and they just plug it in and say, here's what you would be approved for, but without being verified. So if somebody, has a bankruptcy or something on their file that the lender didn't catch right away, but they don't catch it till after they've already got an offer on the home, that deal is going to fall apart.
And go ahead.
Oh, very good.
No. I think this one actually kind of ties right into it, and it's the buyer does not give thorough enough information on their loan application. So if they if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I don't want to tell them about this particular thing because it may make me look bad financially, or may not allow me to qualify for this home at this amount that I would prefer to be at, it's going to come to light one way or the other. So don't lie to your lender. Don't lie to your agent either, but don't lie to your lender, especially so that they can accurately pre-approve you for a loan and then be able to process it through underwriting later on once you make the offer.
Yeah. I don't have anything to elaborate on that. All right.
What's yours, Jeff?
Number 3 of the list, that the lender has a personality conflict with the buyer. Now, first of all, how dare them, right?
Yeah.
But that is why we find it very helpful and very important to conduct a buyer consultation. When we meet with our buyers and we make a recommendation to our lender, it's based off of what we know about the buyer, what we learned through them, either prior to or through the buyer consultation, but that allows us to pair them with a preferred lender that we believe would be a better personality match. Now, we tell every one of our buyers when we make a recommendation that if for some reason there's a personality conflict, it just doesn't jive, we have another recommendation for you. But that is why one other great reason it's super important to get to know your client before making any kind of recommendation. recommendation, but specifically a lender recommendation.
What you got, Cody? What's your next one?
Actually, this one is number 3 on the list, and that's where the lender, because you stepped out of line, Brian, not surprised,
Well, you guys.
where the lender decides
Oh.
last minute that they aren't comfortable with the property.
How would a lender decide they're not comfortable with the property? Like, what things would they?
Well, it depends on the loan type, but if it's FHA, rural development, if there's like, if it's a farm, obviously income producing property, those don't qualify. If there's safety issues with the home, or if, for example, we spoke this morning about rural development not liking if a home is in a floodplain, things like that that might be caught later after the deal's already been put together. And that's why being a buyer's agent, looking out for your client, you verify all that information and go over that information with the lender and your borrower before that's all put into place, so that way it's a smooth transaction. I mean, that's what we're there to facilitate for.
Absolutely.
So okay, since we're sticking with this list in order, I'll go stick with your order here. So the lender would like to have the property repaired or cleaned prior to closing. And
Brian, now why would they like it repaired or cleaned prior to closing?
well, thank you for asking, Cody. That's an excellent question. So, for instance, especially if we're dealing with VA, FHA, rural development, there are certain requirements that they have that conventional loans don't have. Handrails on stairs, no peeling paint, siding in good repair, things like that. I actually just had a deal that went through back in November where we actually had to do some FHA required repairs before we could go to closing. And they also asked for, at that time, which was, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. We did it anyway, but there was some old junk, old building materials that had been stored in a crawl space, and they wanted all that stuff out of there. So we had to take time and actually remove that, which I helped the sellers do prior to closing. So they do ask for that. And sometimes that can be an inconvenience, but things that have to happen.
I'd like to elaborate on just an experience I had with that once. Sold a manufactured home where that still had the axles and the tongue attached, and those had to be removed in order to close the deal
Interesting.
because they considered it still able to be
Moved.
basically not affixed. Yeah, even though there was an affidavit of a fixture.
But when you have the equipment in place to move it,
Yep.
very interesting. All right. So the next one is that the lender raises the points, the interest rate, or the costs prior to closing. So that's an interesting one.
It's more of a violation, sounds like.
Well, it depends. I mean, first of all, if the borrower lost their rate lock based on time,
Yeah, interest rates for sure.
if they lost their rate lock because of time that it took for the transaction to go through. Now, again, the way that we curb those things from happening is communication and efficient work, but sometimes there are things that happen, delays that happen that are out of everybody's control, that could cause that. When it comes to points or costs, a reputable and efficient lender has systems in place to prevent these unknown costs and things from happening. But there are laws that also prevent that. The required disclosure law, they have to disclose their costs up front at the beginning of the transaction, and then up to 3 days prior to the closing of the transaction, the lender has to redisclose. And if it's not within a small percentage point of the original estimate, they have to redisclose and start over. So a good trusted lender who knows how to issue an estimate up front and has processes in place that they'll be comparable when it comes time for closing is hugely important. So again, I guess everything comes back to working with a trusted and efficient lender.
Well, the Truth in Lending Act requires them to stick with those costs from the very beginning. So once those are disclosed, They can't change it technically. I mean,
within that
their
percentage.
their cost.
And it's like 3/8 of a percentage point. It's a small amount.
How does the rate lock work, Jeff?
When a borrower first applies for their mortgage, or actually when they get a deal put together and they actually lock their rate at that time, when they go out and officially formally apply for the loan, they lock that rate in, and they're only good for so much time. 30 days, depends on the program, depends on the lender. But once we get to that 30 days, and if we haven't closed the deal yet, they could lose that rate based on locking the rate in. So if the rates had gone up and they go past that 30 days and lose that lock, now there are things that the lender can do to extend the rate lock and all that stuff. But generally speaking, if they lose it after that 30 days, they're subject to whatever the new interest rates are. And in some cases, they're higher, some cases, they're lower. But that can definitely impact the buyer's affordability when it comes time for closing.
But if the interest rates go down, they can unlock that rate, correct?
As far as I know.
And lower it
Yes.
to the lower rate
yes.
and lock the buyer in at that.
Yes.
Don't run into that too often, so I didn't know the actual truth to that.
But it's that rate lock is meant to ensure that they don't end up paying higher rate.
Yeah.
All right, Cody.
Buyer does not qualify because of a late addition of information. So, I mean, it could be a job change, could be loss of job, or it could be something else pops up on their credit.
I celebrated my new house by buying a new car.
Yes. They could get super excited the day before closing and go to Home Depot and open a credit card to get appliances or whatever. Don't do that. Essentially, don't do anything that does that affects your credit, whether it's co-signing or buying a car, selling a car, anything that could affect your credit.
The rule.
Wait till the day after closing. After closing, still be careful, but
right.
The rule of thumb that I've always worked from is no purchases over $500.
I always tell them if they're going to make a purchase for that to verify with the lender first.
Correct.
Because it depends on where the funds are coming from as well.
Yeah.
Whether they're getting a gift or it's coming from their account or whatever the case may be. And the other thing that I like that we do here is when we do our buyer consultation, we give you a do's and don'ts for getting pre-approved. So having that list is crucial.
Yeah, what not to do and what to do when you are in the process of buying a house. Don't open a new credit card. Don't open any kind of line of credit. Don't make any major purchases.
Do provide the lender with your most recent copy of your W-2s. Do not commit genocide.
We assumed that was a given, but
okay. I just want to make sure everybody's on the up and up and they understand. Oh, dang it!
Yeah, Brian. Before we deliver the final of our first top 10, I have to figure out what's going on with your microphone or your camera.
Am I not in vogue? Mine just keeps going in and out. It looks like I see the green light come on, then the red light come on, and then the green light come on.
Let's do everybody a favor and just turn his camera off.
Hey, nah. Why are you going to be like that?
Is that red yet?
Yes, it is red. How's the saying go? Better dead than red? In this case, it's better red than dead.
Oh, no,
dang, Jeff, what are you doing? You're throwing stuff everywhere.
I know. I'm just not having a good time here, guys. All right.
Why not?
I'm having a blast.
Blue.
There you go, Brian. Finish out our top 10.
Okay, finish out the top 10. Okay. Lender requires a reappraisal at the last minute. And again, going back to the one in November that I did where we actually had to clear out the crawl space, they had done an appraisal. And then once we performed the repairs and cleaned everything up, the same appraiser came back to reevaluate and verify that those things would be done. Sometimes it's a full reappraisal. Value changes for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
I personally have never. That's one thing I haven't experienced yet is a full reappraisal.
By the time you get this right, we're all going to be done.
That's good. So, the reappraisal will happen again sometimes based on time. If it's been too long since the first appraisal, which in your typical residential deal, you're not going to find you're going 3-4 months. At least not in this market. During the mortgage crisis, short sales, those kinds of things, it can happen. And then if a lender loses confidence in that appraisal, much like if there were a bunch of repairs that had to be done, and all of a sudden they just decide, in final underwriting, after repairs have been done, re-inspection's been done, if final underwriting says, you know what, even given all those repairs, the original condition is a concern for us, and we no longer are comfortable with that, we want a reappraisal. And usually that's be a second appraiser, not the same as the original. Maybe seen that 3 or 4 times. But not common. Not common. All right, so that is our first of many installments. Well, first of 5.5, 6.5 installments of our top 10.
Oh, we can come up with a lot more than that.
Yeah, we can. Our top 10 things that can go wrong during a real estate transaction.
See, we should have done them like David Letterman.
Why do you have all these great ideas after?
That's just the way my brain works.
Okay.
So, welcome to ADHD, folks.
So, all right, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about some local events that are being planned and things that are going on right now in the community. I know Brian has something to speak about real quick, or has something to speak about. And why don't you go for that, Brian?
So downtown business owners are actually in the throes of planning an event for St. Patty's Day, and which will be happily titled the Shamrock Shuffle. So kind of the same format as like Ghouls Night Out and the Chocolate Walk, but it is going to be themed in green. So why don't you come on down to downtown? It's going to be actually we're still going with March 15th. So the Ides of March, not exactly St. Patty's Day, but we assume that most of you guys are going to be incapacitated on St. Patty's Day anyway. So we're going to go with the safer date. And we want to make this family friendly too. So March 15th, come on down. We're still going to be 5 to 8. Is that the time? Yep. So 5 to 8 still. So I will have more details coming soon.
You are the man. Cody?
This Saturday, actually, at 11 a.m. at Fitness Coliseum, they are hosting a wellness expo, and it's put on by Fitness Coliseum and Shiawassee Spinal Center. And so they're putting together, it's the 3rd annual expo where they're going to have services for mental health, fitness, nutrition, kids wellness, elder care, hearing, skin care, chiropractic, and holistic medicine, wellness counseling, and energy healing, and much more. So that's at 11 a.m. at Fitness Coliseum, and they're located at 210 South Water Street in Owasso.
Very good, Cody. Very good. Love Fitness Coliseum, and I think I said it last time we met on camera, but look for Homefield Michigan Real Estate Consultants being the swag sponsor once again for the Shy Try, which takes place in May
19th.
May 19th. Cody will be competing, and maybe we'll run a little contest to offer a couple of registrations. We'll give up some registrations for some contest winners here in the next month or so. How's that sound? We'll come up with a good competition. They might have to earn it and prove that they're worthy of our registration.
That sounds great.
I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe a parking lot sprint race back here. We put like 3 or 4 people up against each other, and whoever wins the sprint race through the parking lot, so, a la Seinfeld. Maybe a little bit of Friends in there too, but we're gonna make them earn it. So look for that.
I think you should do it.
I don't think so.
The gears are turning.
The gears are turning. The big wheels keep on turning. So one thing I would like to bring up is this weekend premieres Anastasia at the Lebowski Center for Performing Arts. And I believe the shows are next weekend also. So there's 2 weekends of shows of Anastasia. I don't know much about the story of Anastasia. I'm told that I should be embarrassed. I should know more about it, but I know nothing. Yeah, but the bottom line is this. It's Lebowski Center for Performing Arts. They always do an amazing job. And I do know, just from looking at the promo images and everything of Anastasia, not just our performance of it, but across the country, I think the set is going to be awesome. The backdrop and everything is going to be pretty slick. So, and our folks, our set designers here do an amazing job always. So definitely. Cody, what do you know? You look like you're about ready to say something about Anastasia. It must have been your favorite story growing up.
Nope, I know nothing about it.
Oh, okay. Like
I can tell you about Lightning McQueen.
Because that was your favorite growing up?
Nope.
No, okay.
That's Eli's.
All right.
Is it we're talking about Anastasia the Tsarina, right, from Russia?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So many conspiracy theories around that, actually.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting story.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to do the Disney version or the grittier version.
I don't know. So that's going on at Lebowski. Anything else going on around here?
There's always
That
stuff
we know
going
of?
on around here. Always stuff going on around here.
Absolutely.
So
Just nothing that pops off the top of my head like soon.
Yeah.
we've got the Chocolate Walk coming up soon. We got Shamrock Shuffle. coming up soon.
correct?
Yeah, last time I heard. Yeah. So
There's always something going on. You're right.
So, and we're already planning Mini Golf Madness, so we haven't decided what the date is going to be this year, but we're already starting to talk about it a little bit. So
That was August last year.
that was September.
It was a great event. It was a great event.
It was fun.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else to talk about unless you guys do.
I was going to bring up, did you see Wyndham Clark's
I saw his
round
front, I saw
on
his front
Saturday?
nine. I didn't see what he ended up finishing with. I saw his front. nine.
He shot a 60.
Oh,
He
wow.
got the course record.
Opened up.
And he ended up winning it because they never played again
Oh,
because
okay.
the weather rolled in.
Yeah, he finished the front nine at 8 under, and then
He finished 12 under total. Yeah.
Okay. He was on a.
He shot a
tear.
28? Yeah, 28. Did you see his eagle putts?
No, I actually did not.
They're
Did not.
both like 40-some footers.
Oh, wow.
Drained them.
Rolling with the hot hand.
But we usually talk sports,
Yeah.
given home field, so I
Yeah.
figured bring up something that was pretty remarkable this weekend, last weekend.
That is remarkable. So I'm going to read us out of our show, if that's okay with you guys. You guys okay with me reading us out?
read
Is
away.
this going to be a bedtime story?
No.
I might fall asleep.
You might fall asleep anyway, but
Okay.
thank you for watching The Huddle, your front row seat to Owasso's real estate plays and local highlights. Join us as we tackle the latest in home trends and commercial spaces. Celebrate our neighborhood champions and give you the straight scoop on the market. With a dash of humor and a playbook of expertise, we're here to help you navigate the field. Whether you're buying, selling, or just enjoying the game, tune in where real estate meets real talk and community spirit scores big. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share our content. Peace. All right. We'll outro our way out of here.